Leaving the school, the cars drove down Breezes Road toward Pages Road. Most of the houses on the right-hand side were demolished in 1972 to make room for the New World supermarket, which closed in 2006. This is 1964, Peter Rhodes' last days at school, outside Aranui Primary School in Breezes Road. You can see the house on the right. The Pope family lived there. The house is gone and there's a more modern house there now. This block of shops hasn't changed much over the years. There was an M&M Butcher's on the corner, and then a dairy with Capsicum cigarettes on the sign above it. Beside them was the Aranui pharmacy or chemist, and then a draper's shop. Crossing Pages Road, the old Four Square. Back in the 1950s and 60s, Ray Mussins owned two Four Square shops, the one that was in the picture and one you'll see shortly. When the Wainoni block was being built and hundreds of people moved into the area, he was very busy. You can see the shop there, Mussins Four Square. He had many people working for him. That shop used to be a house with a shop, and I believe that house was called Aranui, where the name of the district came from. They were both pretty big shops. This Four Square's gone now, and the new post office building's on that site. And the other Four Square is where the New World supermarket was. Looking towards Brighton down Pages Road. No traffic lights, no roundabout. I'm reading from some notes from the National Archives, dated 1966. In February 1955, a petition was received from the Aranui Progress League asking for a fully equipped post office providing full facilities and with a full-time person in charge. This was considered necessary because of the building of a block of pensioners' flats in the vicinity and the subdivision of a large area of land for a state housing block. Arrangements were made for suitable premises to be leased, and the new post office was opened in November 1955. Construction of a new post office building commenced on the 13th of January 1964. The contractors were MFR Barnett Limited and architects were Messrs. Lowry and Sellers. Supervision of the construction was in the hands of the Ministry of Works. The building is constructed of permanent material and presents a very pleasing interior with ample light for working conditions. A feature of this building will be the provision of private boxes in the foyer and the establishment of a postman's delivery of 19 rounds serving Zones 6 and 7. These zones cover the Dallington area, Heart of Burwood, Aranui and New Brighton. The new post office will be under control of Mr. T. Blakely, the present postmaster at Aranui. This is Peter Rhodes' last day at Aranui Primary, 18 December 1964. That's the Rhodes house at 317 Breezes Road. He's just past St Ambrose Church, the Aranui Hall, and out the corner, crossing Pages Road. And heading down Breezes Road to the school. That's Mr. Wood, the older man there. He used to be at school as a reliever when I was at school in the 1970s. Mrs. Kennedy was room 2 teacher, that's her on the right. And yes, she did have a reputation for using that. We didn't usually get 6 at the best, it was usually 3. With the centennial of Aranui Primary School coming up in 2011, it's quite fitting that Eric Rhodes filmed the 50th reunion in 1961. Aranui Primary School started off at the Mission Hall on Breezes Road just past Carter's Road. It later became St Ambrose Church. You can read more about St Ambrose Church in Chapter 13. In 1913, the church was picked up and moved towards Pages Road behind the present-day St Ambrose Church site. In 1915, the present-day Aranui Primary School site was purchased. The first classroom built was a tin shed. The children commented how freezing cold it was in winter and how stinking hot it was in the summer. This was later moved to North New Brighton School for their first classroom, and then it went to New Brighton Central for a brief time, and then to South Brighton School, where it was later dismantled. In 1916, the new brick school was opened. This was a two-roomed building made of red brick. This was later dismantled as an earthquake risk. In 1936, two new classroom blocks were built. Each had 4 classrooms and cloakrooms as well. They are pictured in this film. It's quite amazing to think how many children would have gone through those blocks. In the 2011 centennial, I envisage being a very big event. In the late 1950s and the early 60s, when the Wainoni block was being built in other parts of the area, the school roll reached a peak of 837. There weren't enough classrooms to cater for every child, so some classes went down to the local churches. Then later in 1961, Wainoni Primary opened, then later on Avondale, and then Chisnellwood Intermediate as well. In 2007, the roll fluctuates between about 240 and 300. You can see in 1961 the children from the area at that time are all Pākehā or European people. The area has changed in that respect, and there are a lot of Samoan and Māori people living in the area now. The school is still predominantly Pākehā or European. Today there's a whānau class, Samoan class, and mainstream classes. Of course we have computers. We have intercom system. Things have changed a lot. In 1961 there wouldn't have even been a fax. Actually, the staff room wouldn't have had instant coffee or a microwave either, or a dishwasher. You can read a lot more about Aranui Primary School in Chapter 14. That's Eric Rhodes taking the photograph. This grayscale film I don't think was taken from Eric Rhodes' camera, but obviously he got hold of it and added it to his film. The school flag has remained there all these years. About a month ago, 2007, the caretaker gave it a push to see how stable it was. A little piece at the bottom was rotten and it fell over. We're in the middle of landscaping the whole school, and we'll put the flag back in the appropriate place. The school hall was built where we're looking at the moment. This is Mr. and Mrs. Rhodes Senior coming home from a holiday back to 315 Breezes Road, almost opposite Lincoln Street. So looking back towards Pages Road. Shortly after this film was taken, 1956, both Mr. and Mrs. Rhodes passed away within months of each other. You can read more about the Rhodes family and the Arctic Shoe Company in chapter 25. Behind this building there was a big shed, and that's where the sheepskin boots were made. It was a family business right up until the beginning of World War II. So after they died, the property was sold. This film is just footage of the house before it went on the market. The address was renumbered from 135 to 315 later on. Later on the house was rough cast over by the new owners, and then later on it was demolished and another house was relocated to that site in the 1980s. Looking through the family photo album, the other man is Stan Rhodes. In 1920, Mr. and Mrs. Rhodes Senior rented the property from George Hawker of New Brighton. It was in 1947 that it was subdivided up, and Mr. and Mrs. Rhodes bought what is now 315 Breezes Road, and then their sons Eric and Stan bought 317 and 319 Breezes Road. Farewell to the old property. This is a child's day. Eric Rhodes again, filming Peter and his friends playing. Looking at the age of Peter, 9 or 10, it'll be the very early 60s, probably 1962. They're playing on Breezes Road, looking towards Pages Road now. You can see Roger's cartage yard across the road. Biking down towards the corner of Breezes and Pages onto Pages, you can see the old shops. The house there is located on the corner of Pages Road and Rowan Avenue and was owned by the Bodger family. Their house was relocated and 2 units were relocated onto their site. Here we are at Brighton, coming up to the surf club. Peter and his friends were good surfers as well as swimmers. They're in the Surf Lifesaving Club. Coming into view now is the old New Brighton Pier. Another hobby that Peter and his friends had was making go-karts with sails. You can see them getting them ready. Catch a northwest wind down Breezes Road towards the sewage plant and then get a ride home. What Peter didn't realise is his friends' sails would be a bit hard in their eyes, so they could see. So that's looking down Breezes Road towards the hills. That's the corner of Cuthbert's Road and Breezes Road. So now going down the old windy road of Breezes Road where the dump was. You can read about the farms where this land is now on Breezes Road in chapter 12. On the corner of Cuthbert's and Breezes Road, also from 1910 to 1917 was a New Brighton Golf Links, which you can read about in chapter 16. Today is the 4th of November 2006.